Today we're going to be moving on from parallelograms to triangles. So at the top of your paper, it says area of a triangle and the formula. Area of a triangle equals 1/2 base times height. I need you to understand why. The reason why is that I have to cut a parallelogram in half to make my two triangles, which is why the formula is exactly half the area of a parallelogram. Height has to be a straight line at a right angle from the base. So looking at these two triangles, if my highlighted side is my base, can A be my height? Yes, because look, it's at a right angle and it goes all the way up to the top of the triangle. Can B be my height? No, this is not a right angle. Can C be my height? Yes, it goes all the way up to the top of the triangle and it's at a right angle. This other triangle, can A be my height if the highlighted side is my base? No, this is not at a right angle. Can B be my height? Yes, it goes all the way up to the top of the triangle and is at a right angle. Can I flip my triangle and choose a different base and height? The answer is yes, so consider these two triangles. In this instance, I chose the base to be this side, and so for my height, I had to draw this line at a right angle. I couldn't use this side over here, we'll call it side C, because it's not at a right angle. But what if I flip my triangle and I wanted to make my longest side my base? I can do that. This is the same triangle. But in this instance, I had to pick a new height, one that is at a right angle from my base. Look at your sheet. To find the area of this right triangle, Diego and Jada used different approaches. Diego drew a line through the midpoints of the two longer sides, which decomposes the triangle into a trapezoid and a smaller triangle. He then rearranged the two shapes into a parallelogram. So you see how he cut this side out, this triangle out, flipped it over here, and then he created a parallelogram. Jada made a copy of the triangle, so she made two triangles, rotated it, and lined it up against one side of the original triangle so that the two triangles make a parallelogram. Explain how Diego might use his parallelogram to find the area of the triangle. In Diego's parallelogram, all of the parallelogram is made up of the original triangle. So they have the same areas. Because, remember down here, I could draw my original triangle and it's my same shape that I now have here. So to find the area, all Diego has to do is the formula of a parallelogram. So area of a parallelogram equals base height. So in Diego's instance, let me just look back over and remind myself, area is going to be base, which is 3, times height, which is 4. So area is going to be 3 times 4, which equals 12. Jada. Now Jada is going to look a little bit different because in her parallelogram, only half of the parallelogram is made up of the triangle. So for Jada, she needs to say that her area equals 1/2 of the area of the parallelogram, which is 3 times 8. So what that's going to give me is half of 3 times 8, or 24, divided by 2, which equals, sorry, it's a little messy, which equals 12. So did they both get the same answer? Absolutely. They just did it in different ways. Find the area of the triangle. Explain or show your reasoning. So for each of these, what we need to do is we need to pick a base and a height. We're going to label them. So I'm going to choose this bottom side for A. Here's my base. My height needs to be at a right angle. Notice that I already have a side at a right angle. Height. So in this instance, I know that my area is going to equal 1/2 times my base times my height. My base is, let's count the squares, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My height, let's count the squares, is 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I do 6 times 4, that's 24, divided by 2 is going to give me 12. So my answer here is 12. For B, I'm going to pick this side as my base, but I can't pick this side as my height because it's not at a right angle from my base. And I can't just draw a line here and expect that to be my height because that doesn't go all the way up to the top of the triangle. So I'm going to erase that. Instead, I need to draw a line that can actually represent my height at a right angle. And the best line for that is right over here. So now I have my right angle. Now I have a height that goes all the way up to the top of the triangle, and that height is 1, 2, 3 units. So H for height. So for this triangle B, area is going to equal 1/2 times my base, which if I count those squares is going to be 4, times my height, which is 3. 4 times 3 is 12, divided by 2 is 6. So my final answer here is 6. 3. Which of the triangles has the greatest area? Show your reasoning. Okay, so I'm going to do A and B with you, and I'm going to have you do C on your own. All we have to do here, once again, is pick a base and a height. So I think for this, I'm going to actually make this side over here my base. And I want my height to be at a right angle. I already have a side that is at a right angle. So there's my height. So for A, I'm going to say that area equals 1/2 base. So I count up the squares in my base. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times my height. Count up the squares in my height. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times 4 is 20. 20 divided by 2 is the same as 20 times 1/2. So that's going to be 10. Let's do B together as well. Once again, I'm going to make this side my base because it's easy to count the units in that side. But I can't pick either of the other two sides as my height because they're not at a right angle to my base. So I'm going to draw in a dotted height here that is at a right angle to my base. And I'm going to label that H for my height. Now I can calculate the area of this triangle. So I know that the formula for area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. So I'm going to do my 1/2. Now I'm going to count the units in my base. I see 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to multiply by 4 times the units in my height. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what I end up with is area equals 1/2 5 times 4. 5 times 4 is 20, divided by 2 is 10. So actually A and B have the exact same area. Try C on your own. Pause the video. Okay, let's go over C. You had to pick a base. I'm going to pick this side as my base. Then we have to figure out the height. I can't pick either of the other two sides of my triangle as my height, but I can find the height by calculating the length of a line at a right angle to my base. I'm going to draw my height here. I'm going to label it H. Once again, notice it's at a right angle. It goes the full length of the triangle. Now I'm ready to calculate my area. Formula for area of a triangle. Area equals 1/2 base times height. So I'm going to do my 1/2. And I'm going to count the units in my base and my height. My base is 4 units. My height is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units, which means that my area is 1/2 of 5 times 4, or 20 divided by 2, which is 10. So guys, the area for all three of these is exactly the same. So I can't really answer the question. What I need to say is the area of triangles A, B, and C is the same. They all have an area of 10. So none of them has an area that's any greater than the other, even though they all look slightly different. 4. Draw an identical copy of each triangle such that the two copies together form a parallelogram. If you get stuck, consider using tracing paper. So I think the easiest way to do this is to take a line that is the same as one of the sides and simply move it to the other side. It's very easy for me to do this on the computer. Since you're doing it on paper, you're going to have to just do your best to estimate it. So this is a parallelogram for D. Let's try E together now. So again, I'm going to take a line that's identical to one of my sides, and I'm going to keep it parallel, and I'm going to do it straight across. Then I'm going to make a line that is parallel, or as close as possible. I'm going to move it straight across. Try F on your own. Look up when you're done. Again, I wanted to draw my lines that are parallel. Move it straight across. Draw my line that's parallel. Oh, Lord, that's not what I wanted. Move it straight across. All right, so yours should look about like this.